Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey.
Raw, SmackDown, and NXT heading into Christmas this year. We've got a bunch of storylines that are progressing through, so we're just going to pick from them as you want. I'll pick a storyline, you pick a storyline, back and forth, back and forth. But first up, I'm going to go with Omos. He seems to be finally getting his separation from AJ Styles.
Yeah, definitely broke off here. AJ is finally got the boot taken to him, and now we get to see what Omos can do on his own.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because he has had AJ Styles by his side, sort of tutoring him, sort of protecting him as they went through. And as you say, this is really first big outing. Obviously, the first feud against AJ Styles, AJ is going to make him look like $1 million because that's what AJ does as one of the best wrestlers in the world. I guess to me, that first real test is going to be Omos when he steps away from AJ Styles and that feud and moves on to his next one-on-one feud. What can he pull off with somebody else who isn't, that super duper talent that AJ Styles is?
Yeah, so it's definitely. I think it is I know a lot of people say that he isn't ready, and I guess I could see that too from some degree. But you really aren't going to know what you're going to have until you go with it.
Mm.
And I think Omos I think has the tools to be an attraction. Uh, I don't see him being like this mainstay of a main eventer, but I've been wrong before, and who knows? Maybe he can fill the role of the void that's been left since basically, for lack of a better term, because he didn't technically retire, but he basically retired. And that was when Big Show stopped being a full-time star.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they've been looking for a big guy to fill the role of the Giant. So I'm interested. I want to see what Omos can do. And yeah, as you said, AJ will make him look good in their match. It won't be long for sure, but it'll make him look somewhat good, and then we'll see, can he develop a character and can he get the crowd actually behind him?
Mm-hmm. That's the big one as well. Yes, can Omos get the cheers? Can he get the crowd going, or is he going to be a bit of a charisma vacuum? We don't quite know just yet.
And that's why I want to see this, because as you said, we don't know. We don't know anything about Omos really, other than he was a giant overlooking AJ Styles, and their tag team runs up. So it's time for the bird to fly from the nest and either fly to the sky or fall to the ground.
Mm-hmm. And our second topic today, what you got? We'll bounce back and forth.
I guess we'll do Liv attacking Becky.
Yeah, it seemed like a nice little segment to move ahead their match, but Becky, I guess, one step ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a online segment with Liv attacking her, and then they did something on Raw between them that just furthers it. Yeah, it's very interesting. I dare I say that there might be hope for your girl.
Really?
Maybe. Because if they may give her a token run for like a month or two before putting the title back on Becky for an eventual matchup with uh, Bianca at WrestleMania, or they could just do it like uh, as a part of the storyline with Bianca's like, you only beat me because you got lucky, and maybe see what they have with Liv as the champion. I don't know. It's like I pretty strong that I think Becky's going to retain, but there is that creeping notion that they may pull it off just to see what happens. they may pull the trigger just to watch the Rome burn.
Look, I personally would love it. Do I think it's going to happen? No. But do I want it to happen? Yes. And that's where it's always going to bounce back and forth, right? Like, as much as I would love to see Liv Morgan as Raw Women's Champion and sort of on top of that mountain, it's not even like a dig at Liv. I think Liv could do it. I think Liv could be the face of that division and move forward, but they just seem to be so invested in Becky Lynch that I don't feel like they're going to give up that investment. As you say, maybe a token 1 month title reign, or they might even just completely make fun of her if they do have her win it and have her lose it like the next night, and Sasha Banks it, or maybe they'll do something, but odds on favor, she's really got that like 2% going into that match of maybe she'll walk out with the championship around her waist.
Yeah, or they could do what they did with the Edge cashing in his Money in the Bank contract and have Becky just win it back at the Royal Rumble.
Maybe. We'll have to see. Obviously, Royal Rumble is the next show after day one, so who knows what we're going to end up seeing there. But I guess for my next topic, I'm going to jump over to SmackDown. Paul Heyman. Dude had a rough night.
Yeah, he's definitely spitting out teeth. Might be only able to eat applesauce. I don't know.
That's what happens when you get on the wrong side of the head of the table.
Yeah, he caught a Superman punch and was just barely saved before he could get a concerto. Although, honestly, he should have still done it. Brock takes so long to get to the ring that there was no reason to stop there.
Yeah. I guess there's only one sort of question around this feud, because it does look like, Heyman was just like, I'm just trying to save you from Brock, blah, blah, blah. And then Brock comes out in his little denim overalls and just absolutely wrecks shop of the entire bloodline. I feel like day one is not going to be the end of this feud for sure. This is going to tide us through for a little bit. But how does Paul Heyman play into all of this? Is he just going to fall back into being the lackey of Brock Lesnar? Is he going to fade away, do you think? Or maybe go be a double agent? Maybe the bloodline didn't truly kick him out.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking. Obviously, there's more to the story than to be told. I'm interested because it's the best story in wrestling. So the whole Bloodline feud has been for the last year and a half, and Lesnar just turns it up to another notch. The interesting little tidbit of what side is Paul Heyman on? It's just another layer of that onion. Honestly, I think Heyman ends up screwing Brock Lesnar. And
Yeah.
I think that's where the feud ends for as far as Roman versus Brock. And I think it does end at day one.
Okay.
Because of that. And I think I could also possibly see this where they bring in that Gabe Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously Paul Heyman can't wrestle Brock Lesnar. That's not going to happen. Even if Paul Heyman was 30 years younger, that wouldn't happen.
It'd be a bloodbath.
Yeah. So I think that might be a good idea. There's to have Heyman screw over Brock Lesnar, but maybe not because he's still working for the Bloodline, but because he doesn't want to see Brock win the title from him, and then introduce a new ward that would be his basically replacement for Brock. The next big thing, quote unquote, being Gabe Stevenson, that Olympian.
Yeah. I really hope Brock Lesnar doesn't win the title, and like what you were just pitching means that Brock Lesnar doesn't win the title, so I gotta be happy with that. I do think Paul Heyman isn't going to just fall back in line and be Brock Lesnar's lackey again. You know, we've seen it 15 million times. I know it's a guaranteed win, but it still seems like something that they're not going to just try and rehash again. Whether it be double agent or whether it be of his own devices, we'll have to wait and see. I just don't think that Paul Heyman is going to stand in the corner of Brock Lesnar and be all happy, joy with him.
Yeah. It is basically it's a great feud, but there aren't a lot of great outcomes for this. So it's definitely a case of I have no idea where they're going from here, but I seriously think it is ending at day one.
Okay. Well, we'll have to wait and see. I think we can fit one more topic in the side of the song if you've got anything.
I guess since we're talking about the Bloodline, how about we talk about the tag team titles?
It's true. How much longer is the Usos going to be able to hold them when the New Day are sort of beating them at every single stop?
Yeah, we had yet another non-title match that resulted in the New Day beating the Usos. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what the plan is, but it's definitely, we're going to see the New Day versus the Usos eventually. But is this like the first, would it be end up being the first domino to fall in the Bloodline?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, day one's going to be an interesting one for that, just because, you know, eventually the Bloodline do have to fall, but if we play by the traditional tropes, I guess, the New Day picking up all of the wins heading into day one usually would mean that they're not going to walk out the champions. You know, if you're standing tall the night before, you end up losing. And so it's a little bit of a tough one there, because the New Day do seem to have all of the momentum in the world.
Yeah, and I'd be totally fine with the New Day winning. I mean, Xavier Woods is like on a hot streak at this time. He's the main one that's picking up the wins for the New Day. But it could also do something very, very dangerous too.
You spooked me.
Yeah. What if the New Day lose because Kofi ends up taking the fall? And it causes a rift between them, because in Woods' eyes, he's been winning against the Usos over and over and over again. He's been the one getting the pinfalls.
You're back on this train. You're trying to break up the New Day again. I thought we'd left this train in the station.
No. Now that he's a king, there's nothing that's not off the table. Because as much as I hate to tell you this, face king of the rings, typically, unless your name is Bret Hart, don't stay a face the entire time you're a king.
I don't want to hear it. I'm ignoring it. If I can't hear it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But hey, I can't call out to guess exactly where they're going to be going with the Usos, titles, non-titles, face turns, heel turns, or what. So we will have to wait and see what they do bring to us at day one. But we are roughly halfway through the show, and that means we are going to go into our entrance theme of the week. This week it's a bit of a double header. Not only is WWE's own Santa Claus, Mick Foley himself, going to be our entrance theme. This is also roughly the time of year, many years ago, that Mick Foley won his championship gold. So, double header for Mick today, and let's make it a triple header by playing his entrance theme for you right about now. And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. It was my turn, I believe, to pick something, so I'm going to look at NXT, just because how can we not mention the fact that AJ Styles decided to show up?
Yeah. He got kind of baited into showing up by one of the NXT 2.0 stars, in Grayson Waller, who I think is a absolutely amazing heel for NXT 2.0. I think working with AJ will only improve his stock in NXT. I do have a feeling that that there will eventually be a match between these two. Maybe at New Year's Evil.
Maybe.
Which is so weird of a name for a special. But I definitely feel like they're trying to build him. They're definitely trying to build him up. Slowly to be like the top bad guy on the brand. Especially with the top what basically is going to be the top baby face being Braun Breaker. You have to wonder just how will Styles still win against Waller because he's the main event guy from the main roster, or will they shock the world and actually let Waller win?
I'll be honest, it would shock the world.
Honestly, if they do Waller winning, it's almost certainly going to be because of Omos.
Yeah.
But it would still be quite a resume maker to have a win against arguably this generation's best wrestler in AJ Styles.
Yeah, the guy's got like the best resume you can look for, and just what he's done, whether it be WWE, whether it be Impact, whether it be Japan, whether it be the independent circuit. AJ Styles is undoubtedly on every person's top 5 at this point. Even if he's not going to be your top guy, he's on the top 5. And yeah, for what is a rookie to end up picking up a win over AJ Styles, as you say, is undeniably amazing for him. It'll be something that he will forever and always have. And being the character that Grayson Waller is, he will not stop. He will not shut up about it, I am sure. He will talk about that every single week. Yeah,
he will be Chris Jericho. In early 2000s Chris Jericho, not the current one. He will love to remind you that he did something amazing.
Like beating Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night to become the first ever Undisputed Champion.
Yep. So yeah, I'm excited for this potential because they definitely want to build new stars, especially since they released so many.
Yeah.
And a great way is having the main roster guys work with some of the NXT 2.0 talent. Like you have here with the Phenomenal One. Or Matt Riddle and MSK. So I want to see more, and I want to see more of that. I want to see them bringing in more guys from Raw and SmackDown to work with the up and comers.
Yeah,
bring them up, and you know what? Also come up the ratings, because if you have people showing up out of nowhere on NXT. That are from the main roster, that are the topper guys, people are going to want to watch to see who shows up next.
Yeah.
And as you build up the talent using those guys, that will make people want to be more pay more attention to those guys and the guys they work with.
Yeah, it's all logistical sense.
It's a territorial way of building your territory.
Yeah.
In a modern day setting. So let's do more of this, WWE. This is a good thing.
More of this, please. And so with AJ Styles then off of the table, where do you want to drive us next? We got about 6 or 7 minutes left.
The women's division. And so let's stay on NXT and go to the women's division.
Easy as that. Specifically the title scene?
Yeah, let's do the street fight.
Oh, or we could just go straight to the title scene.
Yeah.
We could just never talk about the street fight ever. Okay, you get exactly 30 seconds. I'm starting a timer to talk about your street fight, okay? And go.
It was an amazing little match between them, and Dakota and Raquel are they've got chemistry. They've and it's got great storyline built in too. Yes, your girl lost, but our new girl is being thrust into that title scene with Raquel. So there, I barely talked about it.
That was bang on 30 seconds, by the way. Your timer just came to an end. And yeah, as you say, I guess the match for New Year's Evil is Mandy Rose defending in a triple threat match against Raquel and Cora Jade. Do you think they're going to give it to Cora here?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I think Cora is going to have to chase Mandy for a little while. I feel like they made this a triple threat so that Gonzales can take the pin and it not hurt Cora, and they could continue the storyline with Mandy and Cora as Cora tries to chase Mandy Rose, and Gonzales can move her way on off either to the main roster or just away from the title.
Yeah.
But
you're telling me eventually down the line, Cora Jade champion.
I think that's an eventual thing. I just don't think right now is the right moment for it because it's still pretty early in Mandy Rose's title reign.
True.
And Cora Jade is still pretty young. She's 20. So I think we need to go about maybe another 6 months before having that moment.
Okay. That's a long time for me to wait.
Yeah, it is a long time. I think, but it could definitely build further for the storyline. You have Cora get close a couple times, maybe, but get screwed over by Toxic Attraction, and slowly build to where they'd have a one-on-one match at like Bash of the Beach or something. That's whatever special they want to put in June in the middle of the year. Just threw out a Bash of the Beach because they still own the trademark to it.
Yeah,
and like have in the weeks upcoming that Cora Jade is able to beat the members of Toxic Attraction to ban them from ringside, or even from the building entirely, and get a fair match with Mandy Rose, and that's when she pulls off the win and becomes the champion.
Yeah. All I know is I'm going to be jumping up and down cheering when she eventually defeats Mandy Rose and gets that championship. Whether that be at New Year's Eve or whether that be at the imaginary Bash at the Beach or wherever that ends up being, I will be overjoyed when that happens.
Yeah.
And we got just a few minutes left, so the last thing I guess we can squeeze on in here, I'm going to stay on NXT. We talked about having one too many championship golds. Well, we'll find out at New Year's Evil who is the true secondary champion of NXT as Carmelo Hayes and Roderick Strong, champion v champion, who's going to walk out with both the belts.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm a little surprised that it's basically a heel versus a heel for this unification title match. But I'm very interested. I do think, and it's no knock against Roderick Strong. He's a good hand. He ain't no Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes,
my precious diamond mind.
Yeah, I feel like Carmelo Hayes is like on the tier level with Braun Breaker and Waller, that are like they're going to be the top guy in this new version of NXT. And so I feel like it would be undermining to it to put him under Roderick Strong. And put both titles on Roderick Strong. So I think he wins the match and will be the final Cruiserweight champion in the failed experiment that was the Cruiserweight division.
We can agree on that part. But I personally just really like Roderick Strong and everything that Malcolm Bivens is doing with the Diamond Mine. I think that they could pull off a win here. It might not be the cleanest win in the world, but I could see them pulling one off. And, you know, they can definitely neutralize Trick Williams at Carmelo Hayes' side. So we'll have to wait and see how this is going to go, but we're going to have different picks heading into that match for sure. So that's pretty much about it in terms of what we got for time. So we're going to wrap it up here. It's been great talking to you.
Bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling R&D up, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling R&D up, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling R&D up. And next week we're going to have a special little pre-recorded episode for you for the New Year's, and we'll see you then.